सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। कटाक्षकिरणाचान्त नमन्मोहाब्धये नमः। अनन्तानन्दकृष्णाय जगन्मङ्गलमूर्तये। 18th श्लोका, page number 59. ātmājñānamahānidrā ātmājñānamahānidrājṛmbhite'smin jaganmaye dīrghasvapne sphurantyete svargamokṣādivibhramāḥ. So in the 18th and the 19th shloka, the standpoint with which these statements are being made is the most courageous, straightforward, that which you do not find in any other scripture, any other religion out there. That is the baseline from which the scriptures work in our Sanatana Dharma. Just like when we chant Nirvana Shatkam, in one of the last paragraphs, there is a beautiful paragraph where they say, there is neither Guru nor Sishya, na bandha na moksha. It seems like a complete antithesis. And to make that statement, it requires first the clarity and then the immense amount of truthfulness with which it is presented. Therefore, very courageous. And as long as that is being stated with such clarity and such bravery, I think there can be no dogmas that can pull the Sanatana Tattva anytime soon. Now, what is the clarity? He says, ātmājñānamahānidrājṛmbhite'smin jaganmaye dīrghasvapne sphurantyete svargamokṣādivibhramāḥ. In any other scripture of any other religion, when you read the conclusion drawn that the book is absolute, what is being stated in the book is absolute, thou shall or thou shall not do certain things, that is absolute. And thus, when you observe, follow and live that which is being promoted, that is when you are a true follower. But here, the Vedas themselves say it. Several masters who have established themselves emphatically state it, and that very statement is being said here as well. So we'll come to the fourth pada at the last. Here, the statement that is being made is dīrghasvapne sphurantyete. I'll take first the example and then go into the principle. In the dream that we dream, usually they are not that very long. In one night, we may dream several themes, and most probably that which is just before waking up is what we end up remembering. That too in vagueness. Sometimes maybe with clarity, but mostly it is vagueness. There will be that statement, I don't know, but so many times used. So what happens in the dream? Yes, whatever happens in the dream stays in the dream. It cannot overflow into the waking world. Nothing of that can touch the waking world. So in the dream world, as soon as Nidra, and in that Nidra, now the mind takes the field. I, identified with that dream, I become the Ishvara of that field. But what kind of Ishvara of that field? Create everything. Sentient, insentient, movement, no movement. And sometimes it has no head and tail, no logic or rhyme or reason. Things that which I feel sometimes when we were doing the photos on a camera reel in those days, sometimes one or two photos, because I thought I moved the reel. In those days you had to move the reel so that you can come to the next frame. Though the movement I thought it moved, but then I exposed the same frame more than once. Don't know how, but it seems like I have exposed it to 2 or 3 different environments. And when you get to make the positive out of that negative, when you take a printout, you see a funny superimposition. Somebody's head, somebody's back, somebody's environment, suddenly a tree or a branch growing out. They are superimposed onto each other. Sometimes the dreams look like that only. And in your own dream, you can become things which you may not even fathom. So the classic that comes into my mind is what Guruji often uses. That he had finished the yajna, he came back. While coming back in the rickshaw, he saw a bandar, a monkey show. There is one monkey dressed in a tuxedo, the other monkey dressed in a nice flowing gown, and this fellow is trying to act all shy and all things. So the fellow who is orchestrating it, the fellow says, "Kyun Raja, Rani se shadi karni hai?" Then he says, "But you will require a lot of money. Do you have any money?" So from the tuxedo pockets he opens all the pockets and says, "Not a single penny." "Then how do you plan to?" So then he shows some tricks. Then in the tuxedo he is wearing a cap. He goes around, collects from all the people gathered there and puts it in front of that fellow who is orchestrating all of this. He says, "Is this enough?" He says, so he goes another few tricks. So it seems Guruji saw that. He went home, had his bhiksha and then slept. So in that dream, he saw that a monkey was wearing a yellow clothes and giving pravachan. And who is doing the tricks in that show? It was the brahmachari who was doing it gets hodgepodge, but we project all of it. When do we realize that it is not real? When we wake up. That which pushed us away from the dream, where does it belong to? That also belongs to the dream world. That which kicked us out very emphatically from the dream also belongs to the dream world. I am only glad that when I wake up, I realize that all that which I experienced was only in the dream. I confirm. And when I look at the time, I must not even have slept more than 5-10 minutes. But in that 5-10 minutes, I must have seen half an hour to 80 years worth. I'm just taking arbitrary numbers here. Any amount, a whole life cycle. But then I wake up and say, okay, this is not real. So he says, ātmājñānamahānidrājṛmbhite'smin jaganmaye. All this which we call as waking is another dream projection. But we consider this as a reality. And where is this springing forth from? This is springing forth from the ātmājñāna. Ātmājñāna, not knowing one's own true nature. That ignorance covers as though my true nature, and thereby I project avarana vikshepa. Non-apprehension leads to misapprehension, in Gurudev's words. So, what happens? As soon as though I am covered with ignorance of my own self, I am not identified, I am not in that state of core of my own state of being. Identified with that wrong identity, what do I do? He says, jaganmaye. Jaganmaye is like yawning. So I yawn forth the entire creation out of me. It is projected out of me. But as soon as this statement comes, we have such how can this, all this, that which I am tasting, touching, smelling, all the feelings, all the emotions, how can this be unreal? So therefore the example of the dream given, were they not real when we were in the state of dream? So here also the state of waking, that which we call as real, is that which is projected, because they are real only until I am awake. As soon as I am asleep, all the emotions, all the attachments, all the kind of projected reality that which I have becomes null and void. It's no more real. What no more real? They are completely non-existent. And as soon as I wake up, I again project forth, identify with everything, identify with this body, identify with that mind, identify with all the things surrounding me, and then there is a sense of security. Okay, this looks familiar. This looks my world. ātmājñānamahānidrājṛmbhite'smin jaganmaye. One word there is Mahanidra. What is this Mahanidra? Mahanidra is the ego identified, or the jivatva identified because of the wrong identification. It is considered as Mahanidra, a long sleep. Meaning not identifying, not knowing one's own true nature is the greatest jadatva that we can stay in. Nidra means jada, ajnana. Though it is verily accessible, but it doesn't even cross our minds. From one event to the other, one scheme to the other, one plan to the other, we keep jumping and jumping and jumping. Just like the monkey which cannot sit quite on a single branch, it keeps jumping and jumping and jumping. Long time ago, I think it was in National Geography or somewhere, where the monkey whose Baddha Shatru is the tiger. This monkey is teasing the tiger by pulling its tail. And it continues to tease for a very long time. We also do such things in our monkey business called the waking world. Knowing that it is trouble, knowing that it is something which I am spinning, I jump in, and this Mahanidra, meaning completely unaware of how I am tying myself, binding myself again and again and again. And we compete with each other, saying, how well have I bound myself? There is a comparison, and then there is a competition in that binding. That how many things, how many environments, how many plans, how many schemes that I have spun out of myself, jaganmaye, spun out of myself, and how very tightly I have bound myself with it. As much the identification, that much is the greatness. So, Alexander, when he came into Bharata, his philosopher, I think it was Socrates, right? Either Socrates or Aristotle. I think it is Socrates. He had told him that Bharat has some of the greatest thinkers, amazing realized ones. If you find one, if you come across one, very respectfully bring them to our place so that we will benefit. That will be the greatest benefit. Wealth, yes. All the assets, yes. But more than all of it, it will be these people. Can you kindly bring one? So he reached Bharatvarsha, and whatever in the war front was happening. But then he sent few people to inquire, find out the most realized one. There is only realized one, most realized, I don't know how. The most respected one of those realized ones, and bring them to me. So they went, they were pointed towards one particular Mahatma, and they said, you have to come. Our king has ordered you to come. So he said, hoga tera king. Maybe your king. What do I have got to do? I don't have any urge, I don't have any itch to see anyone, meet anyone. If that itch is bothering your king, ask him to come. And this was unlike anybody else that they had ever interacted with. The moment they hear this Alexander's name, they would be trembling, and whoever, however great, they would run to have a meeting with him. So they went and informed. He said, he is not going to come. You have to come. So he goes there, and at that time, must have been a winter season, that he was basking under the sun, sleeping on a stone, a warm stone, a big rock. And Alexander stood there and he said, "Hum aaye hain." I said, "Hum matlab kaun?" It is completely nullifying his all pride and everything. He said, "Whoever you may be, first of all, understand that you are blocking that sun under which I am, sunbathing. So step aside and let me enjoy that sun and its warmth. And then now, what brings you here?" He says, "My teacher, he thinks that there are people here that are amazing." And looking at him, he had was wearing a loincloth, skimpy head, meaning all the hair was here and there, must be a Jatadhari or somebody. And he said, my Guru has asked me to bring one. And your Guru, he wants to have an audience. So it is only befitting if you bring him here, because the need is his, not mine. He says, do you know that everybody tremble here when they hear my name? So he mockingly says, oh, you want me to tremble in your presence? He says, do you see this sword? He says, what can that sword do? It can only penetrate this body. Go ahead, that is what you want. And he was not mocking him. He was saying it with such emphatic, fearlessness, that even the thought of using such force seemed like futile, even before he could even attempt at it. Then that Mahatma told him, you have been running around all your youth, trying to amass all of this. Do you think you can take any ounce of it? All that which you have gathered, even a little bit of it, to after you leave this body, do you think anything is going to come along with you? All the tyranny that you have created, the moment you die, everybody will declare themselves as independent. Is that what you have struggled for? All his life's worth effort and the successes, he dusted it off. That set him thinking for the first time. Like in the last shloka we read, vichara. Where there is no vichara abhava, then there is only vikara. All that which you have amassed is only vikara. That which will not go along with you the moment you drop this body. All this, that which we amass, bind ourselves with. That Diwar statement, Gaadi hai, Bangla hai. You may have all of it. See, the very place that we stay, the very place, how many people before us have claimed it to be theirs? Samartha Ramdas ji says beautifully, the very house that you say is yours, the carpenter who has worked in says, ye apna hi ghar hai. The constructor, the builder says, this is mine. The bank says, until this fellow pays the entire loan, that house is ours only. Then he makes it such ridiculous. He says, even the lizard that stays on the wall thinks that it is my house, my territory. Any new lizard coming into its territory, it will chase it out. And then he says, the thieves who spot that house, they say that for tonight, this is our house. So whose exactly is it? That which was never ours, we bind ourselves with it and create such a ruckus about it that so much wealth, so much property, so much this, so much limelight, so much of adulations. We don't remember our own great-grandfather. Our parents, their parents, they have become now 4. Now their parents, Each one of the four have two each. How many great grandparents? 16. I would consider it as a first wonder of the world if you can repeat all 16 names. In our own generation, our own family, we don't remember the third generation before us. That is how much is our worth. We have to strive forth for creating a dent in this world, make a name for ourselves, a limelight for ourselves. We don't remember our own ancestors. We don't even know their names. What remember? How many of us remember all 16? If I am assuming that, let us check. How many of us remember all 16 of our great grandparents? If you are doing the Pinda Tarpana, Shraddha, regularly, maybe on the father's side, great grandfather, maybe. But beyond that, the rest 15, gone. That because of who we are, we don't end up remembering them. We have made a family tree. Okay, chalo, fatafat batao, all 16. I remember 2 or 3 of them. The rest of all, in spite of making a family tree, our assets, our property, our wealth, as soon as we are done, dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yutsava mamaka pandavaschaiva. Right in front of Bhishma, who tried protecting all of it. Poor old man. How much must he have suffered? That for which he gave up all the luxuries, all the pleasures of his life. Took a very serious vow. And right in front of his eyes, they were collapsing, crumbling, got destroyed. See, when you get your property deed from the government, right in there, they will highlight all those people that had owned that piece of property before you. They say this whole estate was belonging to some person. If you poke a little hole into that and start searching, before them there was somebody else. None of this, that which we claim, is going to be retained. But the kind of web that we create, cocoon ourselves in that web, as much amass as possible, struggle, toil. Nowhere in Vedanta it says you should not. Don't get it wrong. In Bhajagovindam itself, Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya ji says very clearly, earn, but that should become the cause for your joy, not pain. That when you earn it and spend it wisely, so that it creates that comfort of joy around you, knowing very well that nothing of it you can carry forward. I think my father, my grandfather, one statement was common. You say, all the property that we have, don't think that it will belong to you. By the time I am done, you should have been established, and all of this will go into some kind of good use. Like what? None of this belongs to you. Why? None of this belongs to me anyways. How much clarity do we have? Shirt, pant, handkerchief, sab mera. Bandhu varga and all of that stay as long as you are in the limelight, as long as you have that wealth and power. The moment that wealth and power reduces, पूछने वाला कोई नहीं होगा. See, I have had the blessings to see these, politicians, actors, actresses. They come to America on invite. There was this veteran actor. There was a new actor and there was a veteran actor, new famous actor. Everybody was hankering around that. One of these Ata, Tana, Tandanana, whatever. So they had invited me for a spiritual inaugural speech or something. Nobody bothers, nobody cares, nobody has time for it. That veteran actor was invited. He was once a famous hero in 50s and 60s. Everybody organizing everything, and he was invited there for Lifetime Achievement Award. But the younger actor and actresses were where the entire crowd gathered into. Poor fellow. It's a grand hotel in which all of this is conference hall, grand hotel, it was being organized. Like a nobody was loitering around in those corridors. I was sitting there far away. So he did namaste. I also did namaste. Offered him a seat. He sat down. And then he starts. And unprovoked. I didn't ask. He must be in his 75, 80 years. He says, Idenemo Maya ante. This is what you in philosophy talk about as Maya. That when I was in the helm of things and in the limelight, I would have been there. I have been called, that is how I knew that he was called for a Lifetime Achievement Award. I was called here for being honored for this. And his words were, Anamakadiga dikku lekunda tirugutunnanu ikkada. As though I am a nobody. And that must have pricked him, that must have pinched him. Fortunately, I knew his name. In those old movies, one or two that I might have seen, I said, you are that, right? I said, Kanisa Mirena Gurtincharu. At least you recognized. After 70 years, 75 years in that field, because after they get old, they start playing character roles, not the main hero roles, not the main, chunk of role. Even at that age, he had delivered 2-3 movies in the recent past when I had met him. But still, he said, all my life's effort is dancing in front of me, mocking me, saying that you are a nobody. When somebody who has had that kind of a limelight gets that realization, I told him that through you and having this dialogue with you, I think you have revealed a great truth to me, which was just a concept. But now I understand it verily, because I could see the pain in his voice, pain in his eyes. That what we speak in philosophy, in Vedanta, is so true. And he says, I recognize it as true, but I am not able to come to terms with it. I mean, I have had opportunity to see these actors, actresses, musicians, stalwarts in their fields. Not just this person. कोई नहीं पूछता. It's as long as that glamour stays, that power stays, that hawa stays. And since it is only hawa, it never stays in one place. It moves on. We are not ready to move on. And one of the things that which bothers us when we retire is, I am not going to be the prime anymore. And that is why after retirement they want to show that they still can, they still will, they still want to. They'll be sitting in that threshold where everybody comes in, goes out, and they'll keep making statements like, "Evito, ee kala pillaru. I don't understand this new generation. Nobody tells me anything. Where they are going, where they are coming, why do you need to know?" And then they said, "We never did this to our elders. You may not have done it this blatantly, and this web that we did, the Nissara, the no essence in it any further. We ourselves see it in our lives. Our own children, apple of our eye. The moment they shift out of our umbrella, I am not the prime in their lives anymore. To accept that. Why? That is the reality. I am not ready to move on. In English there are two words. Those who give suffering to others, they are called, and enjoy it, they are called sadists. Those who inflict pain on themselves, they are called masochists. We are such profound masochists that which we keep inflicting the pain, knowing the reality, create these webs. Not just create these webs, but constantly encourage the next generation to create another web. To run for it, to have everything and function from abundance versus function from, like a worker. Where are we forcing our next generation? Probably we don't have that clarity to guide the next generation either. That this jumbana of the sense of reality that which we project and get caught into that, and then claim that Bhagavan is doing all this to me. I don't know, Swamiji. I have been working, and it seems like Bhagavan is giving on one hand, the other hand he is slapping me tightly, simultaneously. Antarani, gilli kajikal bettadu. Do you think Bhagavan has no other job? that every morning he is like, he'll have, in his multiple hands he'll have a hammer. Who do I smack today? Our very understanding of Bhagavan is also warped and messed up. It is my own karma that is coming back. But who do I blame? I have created the web, that jrumbhana of that web, that which is purely out of ignorance, Mahanidra. But we don't pause, step back to make a sensible understanding of where I am getting caught up. And give it so much sense of reality, and that sense of reality which I have validated is what is biting me very roughly, with rough edges inside. Otherwise it does not have that hold on me to create that kind of a dent within. Now if this much is understood, then he takes it to the next level. He says, as much as all of this is Maya, as much as all of this is the self-projected affliction, the solution for it is also in that very field. Therefore, the Svarga, Moksha, Ityadi is also a part of that Brahma only. Tell me one other scripture that has this courage to state. So the Vedas say, Yatra Vedaha Avedaha Bhavanti. Having reached there, you understand that the Veda itself becomes immaterial. So somebody went to Ramana Maharshi and asked, did you read Vedas? He said, he was a very simple man, very honest man. He said, no. Then this person who asked that question later becomes his primary student, Kavya Kanta Ganapati Muni. So he asked, did you read Vedas? He said, no. So let me read out a few to you. And he sits down and starts reading. He starts with Ishavasya Upanishad. And as he is reading through, by the time he came to 10th, 12th shloka, he said, stop. He said, why? I don't like Atmastuti, he said. That which you take as pramana, which is the Veda, mark these words, very beautiful words. That which you take as the pramana, which is the Veda, I stand as the pramana for that Veda. What a beautiful, powerful statement. What is the power of that Atmanubhava, Aparokshanubhuti? That which the Veda is pointing at, I am already there, I am it. Therefore, now from that experience I can say that the Vedas are validated. Therefore, I don't need the pramana of Veda anymore. Instead, I turn around to become the pramana for that Veda. It is not what does the scripture say. I say whatever the scripture is saying, it is true. Why? I am there already. When somebody tells you, there is a lot of Ganesha temples, right? Ganesha, not temples, what do you call? Pandals. What was the Khairatabad one? 70 feet? 69 feet. So if somebody were to call you and say, have you heard? That is so gigantic, so beautiful, so amazingly organized. क्या बात कर रहे हो? I am standing right in front. The moment you say it, the person who is trying to describe all of it to you, what will happen to him? Completely zipped up. Why? You are trying to describe of something which you have heard, that which I am now seeing pratyaksha, for which I don't need your pramana of somebody else borrowed message. Therefore he says here, that where even the moksha, that which is liberating you out of this, belongs to who? So the essential point here is, who is getting moksha? That Atma Chaitanya is ever mukta. It was never bound. Sharira is jada. Prapancha is the projection of this. So the prapancha does not care about moksha. Sharira does not care about moksha. So who is getting moksha? Wherever the confusion is, that is where the liberation from that confusion. Where is that confusion? In that buddhi which is a part of this projected scenario, that fellow is confused. So the moksha is to that fellow. When moksha happens, there is no more that fellow to claim that I am mukta. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa ji, in his beautiful fables and stories, he says, there was a beautiful doll made out of salt, carved out of salt. So they wanted to see that, my origin. I want to know where I came from. They said all the salt that in the world, it comes from the ocean, the sea. So it went in, saw the ocean, saw the vastness, and wanted to experience it. As soon as it stepped into that waters, what happened? There is no more dalatva to claim that now I have realized the ocean, my origin. So somebody who heard this story said, "Ye to pani ho gaya." It got completely dissolved. Therefore, there is nobody to claim, nobody to say that there is me realized. The moment you claim that me realized, that means there is no realization. Therefore, the Kenopanishad says, those who think that they have understood it have not understood it. Those who think that they have not understood it, certainly they have not understood it. Those who bask in the silence, they alone know it. Because there is nothing more to claim after that. There is nothing more to reject after that. Because the one who is to be realized, that confusion, wherever that binding there, that bond was there, that has been completely gone. There will be reflection, but there will be no reflected identity. So there is no more to claim. Aham muktaha. There is only a statement, aham asmi, I am. Because at that point you would say, what bondage are you talking about? I, this Atma Chaitanya, was never bound. Therefore he says, Name mokshaha, name bandhaha. There was never bandha. See, the horse, donkey. I have seen this on a donkey, so I'll take that example. If you do not have a rope around its neck, the dhobis take to the dhobi ghat with a load of clothes and to a tree, they visualize it for the donkey as though there is a rope around its neck and then tie it to the tree. And it will circle around that tree only. Even if there was something that would come to attack it, it will still keep running around that tree. Now if the what do you call, dhobi ko kya bolte hain? The washerman forgot that he had done that prakriya of tying it down and tries to pull it, it will be adamant, it will not come out. Now what should he do? He should undo the entire process. Entire process of what? That imaginary rope tying it to that tree as though it was binding it. Now it feels mukta. Hey Baba, where was the rope? The rope was non-existent. So the one who has realized, how do you feel after moksha? He says, what are you talking about? I was never bound. Is he lying? Because the fellow who was bound is not there anymore. Therefore the realization is not that I have realized. I have been always mukta. That who was suffering through all the bondages, that fellow is non-existent now. About his experience I cannot tell you. Why? He never was there, just like the rope. Now what to talk of? If moksha itself is redundant, what to talk of svarga ityadi loka? That Ishtadeva loka, this Ishtadeva loka, that svarga, that Pitru loka, that loka. They all come under the realm of that projected reality only. Now understand this and then function in the world. You don't have to try detaching from anything. There is nothing that will attach. There is nothing worth to attach to. From that detached disposition, you function with such exuberance. I have nothing to gain, I have nothing to lose. If at all you benefit, it is only to give. It is from that standpoint that Gurudev says, giving more than what you have taken, producing more than what you can ever thought of having consumed. It is from that exuberance. Not कि मैंने अपना wallet खोला, check किया, I have to have a little more for my going back, therefore the rest of it ले ले. Not from that stinginess, miserliness. I have nothing to gain, I have nothing to lose. ले जिसको जितना लेना ले. Last, and I will finish. I was with a Balavihar camp, and it was at a ocean front. So first 2.5 days, we didn't take them to the ocean. They were all itching by that time. We have to go to the ocean. So that afternoon we said we will all go. So they played with water. Some people were making castles. Some people were digging tunnels in that sand. They were having fun. There were these two little kids, brother and sister. They were sitting and playing house. Very small kids, but second grade or something. So the sister, they're playing whatever happened in their house. So this fellow is playing the husband, she is playing the mother of the house, and he comes and puts his office things and washes his face as though all act. So sits down, खाने के लिए कुछ है? Something to eat. So she takes his hand, takes some sand, puts it, and सवेरे की सब्जी और कल का बचा हुआ पूड़ी. And he looked at it, looked at that sister's face, and threw that whole thing away. He said, हाथ पे मिट्टी तो डाल रही है, गरम गरम जिलेबी, गरम गरम पूड़ी, गरम गरम सब्जी, वो क्यों नहीं दे सकती है? If you are imagining, why bhava daridhrata? So that master who has now reached to the state of their own core of being, there is no bhava daridhrata. Therefore you find that exuberance around them, that royal exuberance, larger than life. Why? Where are you all trying to be bound in? You have been free, you have never been bound, and you shall be free. So moksha belongs to who? Go think. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaः, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet, asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritangamaya. Om purnamadah purnamidam purnat purnamudachyate, purnasya purnamadaya purnameva vasishyate. Om shanti shanti shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.